Welcome back. Let's talk about our next process, validate scope. Validate scope is a very unique process because it's in this process that your customer reviews your product that you've produced, the service that you've rendered, or a result, such as a lab result. So in validate scope, we are obtaining stakeholder formal acceptance of the completed project and deliverables. It should be a formal sign-off of a formally issued document, and be aware that if the project is terminated for any reason, then the validate scope process should establish the extent of completion of the cancelled project. There's a difference between validate scope and control quality. Validate scope is concerned with the acceptance of a deliverable. Control quality is concerned with the correctness of the deliverable. So if the deliverable is not deemed fit for use and correct, there should not be any validate scope until the deliverable has found to be correct and presentable in the eyes of the performing organization carrying out the work. Bear in mind, though, that both validate scope and control quality can be performed in parallel. You could have the team performing the work, checking the deliverable, and as they're checking some of the deliverables, those that have been checked are also being checked by the customer. They can be performed in parallel. So let's talk about validate scope. Let's look at the ITTOs. Validate scope. The mission is the customer approval, hopefully not rejection of the deliverable. But that's what happens. That's real life. Sometimes a customer rejects the deliverable, and in that case, you're going to get a change request to modify something. So let's take a look at the inputs here. We've got the project management plan, which contains the, you remember, scope management plan and requirements management plan, because both of those relate to scope. We're in scope right now, okay? So as you're carrying out validate scope, you want to take a look at your project management plan to understand how did we say we would carry out validate scope. You also have as a potential input project documents, lessons learned register, quality reports, requirements documentation, and the RTM. Those could be possible inputs here. Why do you need a requirements traceability matrix? Because if you're checking a deliverable, you want to check it against that requirements traceability matrix. You want to check it against requirements documentation. The next input here is verified deliverables. So when you hear verified deliverables, think about a deliverable that has been verified by the performing organization. The performing organization has looked at it, they found it to be fit for use. Now it's going to the customer in validate scope. So verified deliverables is an input here, and this input comes from control quality. The next input is work performance data. Get used to seeing this. This is a recurring theme throughout the PMBOK Guide 6th edition. Work performance data going in to a process, work performance information coming out of the process. Work performance data is your raw observations. Remember the example, Phil is not available. Okay, what is his unavailability going to do to the project? That becomes an analysis of the data, and it is called work performance information, which you'll see as an output of this process pretty soon. So that's it for the inputs, tools and techniques, inspection. As you're going through the deliverable, of course, you're going to be inspecting it. You're going to be taking a look at various aspects of it. The next tool and technique is decision making. How do you make a decision as to whether to approve or reject a deliverable? What if there are multiple people on the project who have a say in that deliverable? Well, you've got voting. Remember, you've got voting, so you can vote. Decision making, you could vote, and based on how you agree to vote, that could be used as leverage for going ahead or not with accepting this deliverable. Let's take a look at the outputs. First one is accepted deliverables. So if all goes well, we are obtaining stakeholder formal acceptance of the completed project and deliverables. It should be a formal sign-off of a formally issued document. The next output here, I talked about this, work performance information. So you've got work performance data going in, and you have work performance information, the analysis of the raw data coming out. The next output is change requests. Change requests, if the customer rejects a deliverable for a particular reason, that could result in a change request. And lastly, we have project documents updates. Now, project documents updates refers to things like your lessons learned register that could be updated here, requirements documentation that could be updated, and the requirements traceability matrix, to mention a few. Now, I know the PMBOK guide stops short from time to time by listing out every single document, but beware, on the exam, if you're given plans versus documents, you need to be able to identify, based on the fact that this is a document and this is a plan, this is the answer. So you have to get used to that kind of thing. Okay? That's it for Validate Scope. Customer acceptance.